meditation today is led by Hillary Stewartson. Okay, you might think this is going to be one of those, just close your eyes and be comfortable, but no, this is going to be a working meditation. But it's only 3 minutes, so please close your eyes to cut out some distractions so you can focus better. Now this is going to be a personal evaluation on how to get the clutter out of your life and simplify your world for you. So take a look at your daily and weekly activities. Maybe there's an area you would like to streamline in your relationships, your health, financial situation, some part of your life that is pulling down your feeling of happiness. Maybe it's that closet. But first, take a look at what is working for you, bringing you joy, satisfaction, a feeling of accomplishment and pleasure. Those are the activities you want to keep in your life. They lift you up. Now, maybe I should give you a minute there. Now take a look at what is not working for you. Things you do because you feel you have to, but they drag you down. Now where possible, just let that activity or that person go out of your life. If it is a duty or a job you are feeling responsible for, then, where possible, delegate it. Getting the clutter out of your day-to-day living can be very freeing. So often down here, people assume, since one is retired, that you may have many hours of your day to fill, and so one can get drawn into many activities, many worthwhile projects, and be overwhelmed. It is sometimes hard to say no. However, it's up to you to set your boundaries and ensure you are not overextending yourself and your energy. And it's important for your mental and physical health to check in with yourself regularly and be aware of your energy level and feeling of happiness and satisfaction. So give yourself some quiet time. Time to commune with yourself. Be your best friend. Talk to yourself. Not necessarily out loud, but if you are alone, then why not? That way you can assure it of an intelligent, understanding conversation, right? Perhaps you have pinpointed some areas where you can unclutter your life and be able to truly enjoy what you choose to do, when and with whom. It can be as simple as cleaning out that closet. However, if you are a person who has already simplified your life in this way, congratulations. For the rest of you, work it, baby. This Sunday, we present Mark Sconce, who writes the Poet's Niche column every month in El Ojo del Lago and won the Best Poet Award last year. And Diana Rowland, veteran actress for the Little Theater and the Naked Stage. They'll engage in a poetic dialogue entitled Mars versus Venus, a council between equals. It features 17 famous poets, from E.E. Cummings to Edmund St. Vincent Millay to Billy Collins. It's been performed to rave reviews in Santa Monica, Princeton, and Knoxville. Both amusing and profound, and will convince you of the truth that the old saw that the reason why the war between the sexes will never be won is because there's too much fraternizing with the enemy. So get ready for some sexy, sassy, risque fun. You can leave now if you can't stand it.
Testing, testing. Can you hear us back there?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Hello? Yeah. Okay, it's working.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to Open Circle. Today, the piece that you're about to hear, a little brief history. The piece you're about to hear came about during the early 90s when a gentleman, Paul Cummins, president of the Crossroads School in Santa Monica, expressed some thoughts about men and women. And Paul read a poem called Desire, which elicited an unexpected response from his friend Nancy Larson, a colleague. And thus began a friendly challenge, a competition between the two, and they were off and running. Now, another friend of hers, Professor Emeritus James Phelan, University of Tennessee, Knoxville, picked it up, and he and a colleague used this reading at fundraisers in Knoxville, amongst movers and shakers there and in South Carolina, and it proved to be very popular. They raised a lot of money by through this reading. We will not ask for any contributions today, however. You'll be relieved to hear. Now, Diana, this seems like a sophisticated audience today, but I think we should warn them that adult content lies just ahead. Listener discretion is advised. However, if anyone feels squeamish during the performance, you'll be glad to know that I have brought some earplugs, and they're available to you at a modest charge.
Now they're all looking forward to a lot more than what's in here.
Yeah.
You disappoint them now.
No, I doubt it. Well, are you ready to duke it out, Diana?
I sure am.
Okay, folks. Ready for a bumpy ride?
Yeah.
This is the way the ladies are. They're always washing and drying their hair. They're always walking into spring and exclaiming at how long it's been since last year and how they've forgotten the names of birds and flowers and other things. They're always attending to a gentleman who begs to kneel again between their legs. And they lift their hands and pull back their hair, for this is the way the ladies are.
Well, this is the way the gentlemen are. They are always in love with their mother. They are always hoping to make themselves free, and they carry swords in company with other gentlemen who feel the same. Though begetting sons on wives is a recognized aim. They are always seeking to fit their hand on a thigh which explodes above a stocking. To protect themselves from ladies, they must have war, for this is the way the gentlemen are.
Then why should we delay? Pleasure shorter than the day? Could we, which we never can, stretch our lives beyond their span, beauty like a shadow flies, and our youth before us dies.
Doing a filthy pleasure is, and short and done, we straight repent us of the sport. Let us not then rush blindly on unto it, like lustful beasts that only know to do it. For lust will languish, and its heat decay. But thus, keeping endless holiday, let us together closely lie and kiss.
Why this delay? Why waste the time in kissing? What is the very meaning of a kiss? Think of the best, the ultimate joy we're missing. It's okay. Hasten the moment of our mutual bliss.
It's all too swift. It's over all too soon. The quickened pace, the gasps, the final swoon, the sudden dying down of flame and fire, the loosened limbs, the loss of all desire. Let us control it. Love is far more than the itching heat of a stray dog or man.
Let us put off the moment. Let us wait before we lose all sense and consummate what we might well conserve. Let lips and hands do all we want to answer our demands. Let eager mouths and teasing tongues fulfill our deepest need until...
May I feel, said he.
I'll squeal, said she.
Just once, said he.
It's fun, said she.
May I touch, said he.
How much, said she.
A lot, said he.
Why not, said she.
Let's go, said he.
Not too far, said she.
What's too far, said he.
Where you are, said she.
May I stay, said he.
Which way, said she.
Like this, said he.
If you kiss, said she.
May I move, said he.
Is it love, said she.
If you're willing, said he.
But you're killing, said she.
But it's life, said he.
You're right, said she.
Now, said he.
Ow, said she.
Tip-top, said he.
Don't stop, said she.
Oh, no, said he.
Go slow, said she.
Come, said he.
Said she.
You're divine, said he.
You're mine, said she. Wild nights, were I with thee, wild nights should be our luxury. Futile the winds to a heart in port, done with the compass, done with the chart, rowing in Eden. Ah, the sea, might I but moor tonight in thee.
You, child, how can you dare complain that you and I may be mismated, because some say you lack a brain and I'm so highly educated? The body is the greater thing, and you are greatly gifted when you have such hands and breasts that bring more peace than all the words of men. Take pride in this, your beauty. Drink the wine it offers for our love. Be glad you do not have to think. One thoughtful lover is enough. We're equal partners, that is plain. Our life cannot grow dull or shoddy, while I have such a lovely brain and you have such a lively body.
You will be sorry for that word. Give back my book, and take my kiss instead. Was it my enemy or my friend I heard? What a big book for such a little head. So come, I will show you my newest hat, and you may watch me purse my mouth and prink. I shall love you still and all of that, but I never again shall tell you what I think. I shall be sweet and crafty, soft and sly. You will not catch me reading anymore. I shall be called a wife to pattern by, and some day, when you knock and push the door, some sane day, not too bright and not too stormy, I shall be gone, and you may whistle for me.
I still recall a wondrous vision, that day when I beheld her face, a fleeting moment's apparition of perfect beauty and of grace. Whenever hopeless grief oppressed me, amid life's cares and pointless schemes, her gentle voice and soul caressed me, her cherished features filled my dreams. The years went by, fate's storms and stresses dispersed those sacred dreams of grace, and I forgot those soft caresses, her gentle voice, an angel's face.
I shall forget you presently, my dear, so make the most of this, your little day, your little month, your little half a year, ere I forget or die or move away, and we are done forever. By and by I shall forget you, as I said, but now, if you entreat me with your loveliest lie, I will protest you with my favorite bow. I would indeed that love were longer lived and oaths were not so brittle as they are, but so it is, and nature has contrived to struggle on without a break thus far. Whether or not we find what we are seeking is idle, biologically speaking.
A woman in my class wrote that she is sick of men wanting her body. And when she reads her poem out loud, the other women all nod. And even some of the men lower their eyes and look abashed, as if ready to unscrew their cocks and pound down their own dumb heads with this innocent sausage of flesh. And more would think of confessing his hunger, none would think of confessing his hunger, rather, or admit how desire can ring like a constant low note in the brain, or grant how the sight of a beautiful woman can make him groan on those first spring days when the parkas have been packed away and the bodies are staring at the bodies and the eyes stare at the ground. Why have men been taught to feel ashamed of their desire? As if each were a criminal and on parole with a long record of such conduct as excludes each one from all, but the worst company, and never to be trusted? Why must men pretend to be indifferent, as if each were a happy eunuch engaged in spiritual thoughts? Better to be bad and unrepentant. Better to celebrate the difference, not to be gluttonous or overbearing, but full of hope and self-forgiving. The flesh yearns to converse with flesh. Each pore loves to linger over its particular story. Let these seconds not be full of self-recrimination and apology. What is desire but the wish for some relief from the self? The prisoner let out into a small square of sunlight with a single red flower and a bird crossing the sky. To lean back against the bricks with the legs outstretched, to feel the sun warming the brow before returning to one's mortal cage. Steel doors slamming in the cell block, steel bolts sliding shut.
A woman is not a pear tree, thrusting her fruit in mindless fecundity into the world. And even pear trees bear heavily one year and rest and grow the next. A woman is not a basket you place your buns in to keep them warm. Not a brood hen you can slip duck eggs under. Not the purse holding the coins of your descendants till you spend them in wars. Not a bank where your genes gather interest and interesting mutations in the tainted rain, any more than you are. You plant corn and you harvest it to eat or sell. You put the lamb in the pasture to fatten and haul it in to butcher for chops. You slice the mountain in two for a road and gouge the high plains for coal, and the waters run money for miles and years. Fish die, but you do not call them yours unless you wish to eat them. Now you legislate mineral rights in a woman. You lay claim to her pastures for grazing, fields for growing babies like iceberg lettuce. You value children so dearly that none ever go hungry. None weep with no one to tend them when mothers work. Oh, none lack fresh fruit. None chew lead or cough to death. And your orphanages are empty. And every noon, the best restaurants serve poor children steaks. We are all born of woman, and every baby born has a right to love, like a seedling to sun. And every baby born unloved, unwanted, is a bill that will come due in 20 years with interest. An anger that must find a target, a pain that will beget pain. A decade downstream, a child screams, a woman falls, a synagogue is torched, a firing squad is summoned, a button is pushed. and the world burns. I will choose what enters me, what becomes flesh of my flesh. Without choice, no politics, no ethics lives. I am not your cornfield, not your uranium mine, not your calf for fattening, not your cow for milking. You may not use me as your factory. Priests and legislators do not hold shares in my womb or my mind. This is my body. If I give it to you, I want it back. My life is a non-negotiable demand.
I have exhausted my life inventing ways to gratify her. Though drawing nigh to the utmost limit of my strength, I am still hunting for ways to satisfy her. It amuses her to tear silk. I will give her 100 feet of singing fabric, but she has heard it shrill too often. It amuses her to see wine flowing and people reeling in wine. But wine is not pungent enough, and its vapors no longer go to her head. To humor her, I'll offer my threadbare soul. Tearing, it will sing beneath her fingers, and I'll spill my blood like wine from a goat skin, and a smile will bend over me then.
I, being born a woman and distressed by all the needs and notions of my kind, am urged by your propinquity to find your person fair, and feel a certain zest to bear your body's weight upon my breast. So subtly are the fumes of life designed to clarify the pulse and cloud the mind and leave me once again undone, possessed. But think you not for this, the poor treason of my stout blood against my staggering brain, that I shall remember you with love, or season my scorn with pity. Let me make it plain. I find this frenzy insufficient reason for conversation when we meet again.
Well, I've lost you. And I lost you fairly in my own way and with my full consent. Say what you will. Kings in a tumbrel rarely went to their deaths more proud than this one went. Some nights of anguish and hot weeping, I will confess, but that's permitted me. Day dried my eyes. I was not one for keeping rubbed in a cage, a wing that would be free. If I had loved you less or played you slyly, I might have held you for a summer more. But at the cost of words I value highly, and no such summer as the one before, if I outlive this anguish, and men do, I shall have only good to say of you.
I know my mind, and I have made my choice. Not upon your temper does my doom depend. Love me or love me not. You have no voice in this which is my portion till the end. Your presence and your favors, the full part of you that you could give, you now can take away. What lies between your beauty and my heart, not even you can trouble or betray. Mistake me not. Unto my inmost core I do desire your kiss upon my mouth. They have not craved a cup of water more that leach upon the deserts of the south. Here you might bless me. What you cannot do is bow me down, who have been loved by you.
Men marry what they need. I marry you morning by morning, day by day, night by night. And every marriage makes this marriage new. In the broken name of heaven, in the light that's shattering granite by the spitting shore, in air that leaps and wobbles like a kite, I marry you from time, and a great door is shut and stays shut against wind, sea, stone, sunburst, and heavenfall, and home once more. Inside our walls of skin and struts of bone, man, woman, woman, man, and each the other, I marry you by all dark and dawn, and learn to let time spend. Why should I bother the flies about me? Let them buzz and do. Men marry their queen, their daughter, or their mother, by names they prove. But that thin buzz winds through. When reason falls to reason's cause is true. Men marry what they need. I marry you.
If ever two were one, then surely we. If ever man were loved by wife, then thee. If ever wife was happy in a man, compare with me, ye women, if you can. I prize thy love more than whole mines of gold, or all the riches that the east doth hold. My love is such that rivers cannot quench, nor aught but love from thee give recompense. Thy love is such I can no way repay. The heavens reward thee manifold, I pray. Then while we live in love, let's so persevere that when we live no more, we may live ever.
I want to talk. Reach over and touch your soft white thigh. But you sleep on this night of our daughter's birthday. I want to say I see smiling generations in her deep brown eyes. To tell you earlier today, walking alone on a granite dome, mountains of clouds gathered only to swirl apart, fade and pass me by. The pure bright sky turned gray. My tears welling with the rain as I gazed at our child. And now, at midnight, I stare at you, your hair shining in the moonlight. Botticelli goddess, with delicate faint lines at the corners of your eyes, showing the way to time's edge.
You are the bread and the knife, the crystal goblet and the wine.
Diane?
You are?
You are. The dew in the morning grass and the burning wheel of the sun. You are the white apron of the baker and the marsh bird suddenly in flight. However, you are not the wind in the orchard, the plums on the counter, or the house of cards.
Well, you are certainly not the pine-scented air. There's no way you are the pine-scented air.
It is possible that you are the fish under the bridge, maybe even the pigeon on the general's head. But you are not even close to being the field of cornflowers at dusk.
And a quick look in the mirror will show that you are neither the boots in the corner, nor the boat asleep in the boathouse. It might interest you to know, speaking of the plentiful imagery of the world, that I am the sound of rain on the roof. I also happen to be the shooting star, the evening paper blowing down an alley, and the basket of chestnuts on the kitchen table.
I am also the moon in the trees and the blind woman's teacup. But don't worry, I am not the bread and the knife. You are still the bread and the knife. You will always be the bread and the knife. Not to mention the crystal goblet and somehow the wine.
I've learned not to worry about love, but to honor its coming with all my heart, to examine the dark mysteries of the blood with heedless heed and swirl, to know the rush of feelings swift and flowing as water. The source appears to be some inexhaustible spring within our twin and triple selves. The new face I turn up to you, no one else on earth has ever seen.
When you are old and gray and full of sleep, and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read and dream of the soft look your eyes had once, and of their shadows deep, How many loved your moments of glad grace and loved your beauty with love false or true? But one man loved the pilgrim soul in you and loved the sorrows of your changing face, and bending down beside the closing bars, murmur a little sadly how love fled and paced upon the mountain overhead and hid his face amid a crown of stars.
They have only to look at each other to laugh. No one knows why, not even they. Something back in the lives they've lived, something they both remember, but no words can say.
They all go off at an evening's end to talk, but they don't, or to sleep, but they lie awake. Hardly a word, just a touch. They know together everything that is but one. Their lives they've learned like secrets from each other. Their deaths they think of in the nights alone.
Love says the poet has no reasons.
Not even after 50 years?
Particularly after 50 years.
What was it then that lured us, that still teases?
You used to say my plaited hair.
And then you'd laugh.
Because it wasn't plaited. Love had no reason, so you made one up to laugh at. Look, the old gray couple.
No, to prove the adage true, love has no reasons, but old lovers do.
And they can't tell.
I can, and so can you. 50 years ago, we drew each other, magnetized needle toward the longing north. It was your naked presence that so moved me. It was your absolute presence that was love.
Ah, was.
And now, years later, we begin to see the absence, not presence, what the world would be without your footsteps in the world, the garden empty of the radiance where you are.
So that's your reason. That old lovers see their love because they know now what its loss will be?
Because, like Cleopatra in the play, they know there's nothing left once love's away.
Nothing remarkable beneath the visiting moon.
Ours is the late, last wisdom of the afternoon. We know that love, like light, grows dearer toward the dark.
And when we are shadows watching over shadows, when years have passed enough to live 2 lives, when we have passed through love and come out speechless on the other side, I will remember how we spent a night walking the streets in August, side by side, following 2 shadows, dressed in long gray coats, unseasonable clothes they didn't seem to mind, walking so easily with easy stride, merging for a moment.
Then isolate as they led us to your street, your door, and up the steps until inside, love became articulate. Eye, lip, and brow.
When we are
With shadows, watching over shadows, we will not speak of it, but know, and turn again toward each other tenderly. Shadow to shadow,
Shadow to shadow.
shadow to shadow. We reach the destinies beyond what we have come to know, and in the romantic hush of promises, perceive each other's life as known mystery, shared.
But in violet, no melting, no squeezing into one. We swing our eyes around as well as side to side to see the world.
To choose, renounce this or that, call it a council between equals.
Call it
love.
love.
Bravo.
Thank you. You don't have to leave yet unless you want to. because we're through a little sooner than usual. Two quotes from there that I pulled out is to honor the coming of love with all your heart. And for many of us here, love like light grows dearer with the dark. So as you get older, there may be a change in the nature of love, but it may be more special than ever. So if people have comments they'd like to make, we don't really have questions for the performers, but if you'd just like to say anything, you're welcome. Wait for the mic.
I'm coming just for...
I'm so happy to see John Chardy's name on there because he used to have a radio program on public radio called A Word in Your Ear. And if anybody ever made me think about words like John Chardy did, and I don't know if his stuff has been published or not. At one time I know it was deep in litigation among quarreling heirs. Heirs called, you know, I didn't hear it.
I see another hand.
So who compiled that?
One Paul Cummins and Nancy Larson began the dialogue in Santa Monica back in the early 90s. That's all I can tell you.
I think that's the most remarkable part of that piece is how that dialogue goes back and forth, and they found those pieces from poetry. I thought it was brilliant. Thank you very much.
I've always loved Emily Dickinson's poems, and Wild Nights and Emily Dickinson seem to be somewhat a contradiction in terms because as far as we know, she never married. We don't even know if she ever had a boyfriend. She never left home for more than 100 kilometers. So I can imagine her sitting in her attic, dreaming, imagining all this. And the sad part is that's where I am at now, in my life, sitting at home, dreaming and imagining what it was like once. So if there are any volunteers of that, you will help me remember here.